Hello, dear friends. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful day. We're going to go ahead and put together projects number 5 and 6 from the November 2023 Stamp of the Month kit. So these cards are going to be really easy and really fast. And I sincerely hope that if you guys were someone that placed a qualifying order during the month of November for $75 on my shopping website, I hope that you guys will enjoy the kit that you'll receive for free. And know that I thank you so much for choosing to do business with me. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to start with project number 5. Now, like I mentioned in the last video, I did start to finish in project number 1, project number 2 video when we put the pages together. Okay, so what I did in that video is I went ahead and I showed you guys the stenciling. I showed you the ways that we added the inking and the texture and the dimension to all of the leaves as well. Okay, so we dry embossed them. We got our blending brushes out. We covered up the crack spots in the glitter paper that cracked a little bit just because it's a really, really delicate cut that we made for the leaves. And so you guys can see all of that start to finish in the project 1 and project 2 video. Okay, I have done those things ahead of time in the other videos just to make them a little bit quicker. Okay, we all know Suze gets a little rambly sometimes, right? If this is your first rodeo with me, I'm a country girl, and we are long-winded, right? And so we're going to go ahead and get started, but it's going to be much quicker because a lot of those things are done for us. Okay, so what we're going to do first is I am recreasing this card base because the machine that makes them, wherever these are manufactured, it does not like to put the crease right in the middle, and that makes me kind of bonkers. So I like to recrease it, give it a really, really good crease, and that makes me much happier. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to basically build the bottom layer. And the bottom layer on this card is just made up of strips, pattern paper, and cardstock. And so what's fun is that if you guys are, this is a great pattern that if you are like at the end of your paper collection and maybe you're trying to find a way to use up those scraps so you can totally officially be done. I'm sorry if it's like one of your favorites or something. I know that's hard, right? Whenever we use up the last of it. But this is a great pattern to use up some of those longer strips of that pattern paper. So, it's interesting because different projects that may be using your scraps, it's clear that they need scraps of various sizes, right? And so sometimes you have those longer strips that are a little bit challenging to use. And so this is a really great pattern for that. So I am going to complete the front of this decorative layer by putting another third and final piece of the pattern paper there. Okay. All right. And so what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to trim. So this is all going to be flush. You guys have seen me do this for years. It's just something that I don't like any of those edges to be showing if you have a piece that's a little bit long or a little bit short. And what I find is like card bases never seem like they are exactly 5.5 inches tall. They're either a little hair too short or they're a little hair too tall. And I just go ahead and I will just cut it all down where it all kind of fits. So what I'll do when I'm off camera is I'll actually slip off the back side of that because you've got a little bit of white showing. But it's nothing that you guys need to watch right now. So what we're also going to do is we'll bring this over here now. Again, like I told you guys in the previous videos, I did lots of welding with millions and billions of circles inside Cricut Design Space. So you guys have pre-cut, pre-designed stamping sentiment pieces. So I showed you guys this in every video and I'll continue to show it, but cut a bunch of them. If you guys are done with your kit, remember these all come pre-cut. You're going to get one kit that's pre-cut. But if you're going to really use the resources and take the cutting guide and the Cricut file and all of that to maybe create more projects, and really get a lot of miles out of the resources that I send you, then cut a whole sheet of the white daisy pieces. And so all of your stamping sentiments that I've created for you, cut a bunch of them and just stick them down in your stamp envelope. That way, the next time you grab your stamp sets, you don't have to get your Cricut out, right? You have some pieces that are already there and ready to go. So you have those already done. I have went ahead and stamped mine just to save some time, and I used the Acorn ink on that one. It's not perfect. If you guys look at it, you'll notice that it's totally like, it's not like we would be in trouble if we were like scanning much too much to risk that. And so I just have to sit there for 3 billion hours and put a whole bunch of circles together and get the best do the best I can. So it's not perfect, but it will save you guys having to fussy cut it out. And I feel like it's a nice little substitution for that. So add a little bit of the liquid glue onto our mink piece, and you can see we've already done a little bit of the stenciling. And I'll pull my catalog back over here and show you which of the triangle tree stencils I used for this one. So it's so fun because this is a bundle that has a Christmas stamp set, a Christmas, it's made for thin cutting. It's got thin cutting, stamp set, and stencils all around Christmas trees. And so I have kind of been challenging myself to see if I could use it in a way that's not Christmas themed. And there are tons of ways. Like these do not really even look like Christmas trees to me. I think you could certainly take the stamp set with this little nesting triangular thin cut set and create, just fun little outdoors layouts and cards for, your masculine recipients and that kind of thing, and just use some fun different shades of green and make it like super duper outdoorsy. That would make an awesome guy card. It would make an awesome layout. And again, like, you're not adding stars, you don't need to add ornaments and all those things, and it would look like an awesome just tree a type of embellishment. And it's not really it doesn't really scream Christmas tree, right? Now when you kind of look, pardon me, when you look at it with all of the, the bits and pieces, it definitely has a bit of a Christmas feel. When you put the star on top and you add, a Christmas greeting, and you've got the ornaments and stuff like that on there, it does tend to look a little Christmassy. But we can focus on ways that it could be used without having a Christmas vibe. And so that is what I tried to do with this kit. And you'll see I used the stencil on nearly every project. I think just number 6 we didn't use it on. And so I used different of the stencils in different ways. And so go back and check out those videos if you guys have not seen them, and you might get some ideas on how to use this if you added it to your shopping cart. But the one that I used for the mink here is this little guy right here. And there's several of them on there in various sizes. So you can pick a big one, a small one, whatever you wish. But it's this little guy that has like it's so funny. They almost look like some of those really cool cedar and iron porches that have that really fun beam at the top. My husband's in construction and I don't know what they're called, so I sound like a weirdo even mentioning that, but you guys probably know what I'm talking about. If I move it this way, see, it looks like one of those really cool porch roofs. But we use that in the tree, and you will see one of them is right side up, but this one I used right, upside down. So again, it doesn't have any resemblance of a tree whatsoever. So again, guys, kind of think of some ways to be able to utilize some of this stuff, after the time that it is intended, right? So if it's created to be a Christmas something, then think of ways that you can use it outside of Christmas, like your stamp sets and your thin cuts and things like that have presents on them. It's maybe made for Christmas, but it would work great for a birthday card or a birthday layout, right? Or anything that's really celebratory would work super great. So again, kind of think of different ways to use them, and perhaps this kit maybe has given you guys a different way to think about that Christmas tree stencil as well. So we're going to put you are in my life, grateful you are in my life, down here at the bottom. And so again, you guys know my love of a stamping platform, and it would be very difficult to stamp without one. I have many trimmers. I have many hand trimmers. And even before I started having hand trimmers, it was really hard for me to line up my stamps multiple times and stamp directly on top of each other. It's just a struggle for me to kind of get that lined up correctly. And what I realized with a stamping platform is it just kind of took all of that, like the mistakes that I would potentially make. It got rid of all of those. And so now I enjoy stamping more than I ever have since the time that I've started using a platform. Now, of course, it would work perfect the first time that I do it now, but normally I'll find myself stamping 2 and 3 times to make sure I have a really, really crisp image. One of the things that I try to do when I am using a sentiment stamp or a stamp, any type of stamp that has really, really fine lines, many times to get a really good even coverage, we find ourselves like smushing down on either our block or our platform, right? To make sure we get a really good coverage. But what I find with those really delicate, fine lines of your stamps is that it almost smushes them, right? Like, cause they're not solid enough to kind of withstand that pressure. So as we're putting pressure down, we kind of smush these, and then they don't look fine and crisp and pretty. They kind of look fat and sassy and smushy, and kind of like how I feel after the holidays, right? So what I find that I like to do, especially since I have the, you know, the beauty of the stamping platform and being able to effortlessly stamp multiple times on the same spot, is I will put just a tiny bit of ink and then close it. And then my next layer will just be just a tiny bit of ink again. So I'm just adding little tiny bits of ink there till I can get a really nice full coverage without having to put the pressure on there. Okay. I hope that makes sense. If you guys, you know, get a lot of those images where they're kind of smushed out and they're not pretty and crisp, you might kind of look at your technique and see if maybe you're putting a little pressure on there, and perhaps that's causing your letters to not look quite as pretty and delicate that way. So got that part done, and we'll go ahead and we're going to put this little guy down here in the lower left-ish corner. I say left-ish because it's not like super duper in the corner. It's pretty big compared to the size of the card, so it's kind of in the middle too. So now we are going to utilize some zip strips. These are fun. I find that sometimes in kits, I end up using like all of them because they're all great. And then sometimes when I get a kit, I don't use any of them. And I don't really know a rhyme or a reason why that is, but this is a fun way. And I've done this in kits before. If you guys have been with me for a while, you have seen me do this in kits before. If you need a little bit of space that just kind of needs to be covered up, needs to be filled in a little bit, it's kind of the way that I look at a stencil. I just need a little something, something there. I don't need a bunch of like in your face random stamping. I don't need a bunch of embellishments. I just need a little bit of something, just kind of fill in a little bit of blank space because it looks a little tiny bit bare, right? So this is a fun way to add a little bit without really adding a lot. Okay, so I took 2 zip strips. These are 2 inches wide, and of course pre-cut in your kit. And I put adhesive on both of them, and I just kind of laid them together in a way that I felt would be kind of complementary. I want to put the Grateful on top of the zip strips, just similar to how the original is here. So I just go ahead and put these 2 together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my foam tape over here, and we're going to put some foam tape on it. And then we're going to, we'll place it down here, and we will put our Grateful there on top of it. I think in the original, I actually used the thin foam tape on the zip strips here, and regular foam tape on the Grateful, and I'm using regular foam tape on the zip strips. So we'll kind of see how it looks. We may have to put 2 layers on the Grateful sentiment. I'm not sure, but we'll see here in just a moment. So we're going to kind of just use this in a way to kind of just kind of fill in a little bit of that bare spot. So let's see the difference, okay? So this is what it would look like without the zip strips, okay? Seriously, a cute card. You could cover in some of that open space. You know, we've covered in some of it with the stencils. You could cover in some more of it with the dots if you wanted to. But look at what a difference it is when you put the little bit of that zip strip there. So we've got a little bit of the color coordination happening too. Our middle strip here is charcoal. And so this zip strip is a charcoal and a white star, of course. And then this one down here is a beautiful mink and white chevron. And I wish I had a whole like bunches of paper with that really cool mink chevron. It's very pretty. But it kind of ties in with the mink cardstock here. And you can see it ties in with a little bit of that triangular geometric feel of the stencil that we chose as well. So again, all a part of my plan, right? So it really, if you look at the difference just by adding a couple like scraps, things that we most likely would not use anyway, behind there really adds so much. And if you guys don't have zip strips, you could just use a 1/2 inch wide strip of paper. So these are just essentially 1/2 inch by 2 inch pieces of pattern paper. So pattern paper, cardstock, even glitter paper or something like that is a really great way to, again, just to kind of add a little bit of something, something back behind your sentiment. So we're going to go ahead and we'll kind of place this down and let's have a look. I want it to overlap. So it's kind of trailing over here where that desert rose pattern paper is. And so what I think that we're going to do, we will reverse engineer this. How about that? We're going to put the thin foam tape on the Grateful rather than putting it on the bottom layer. So hang tight. I'm going to grab my thin 3D foam tape. Sorry that I didn't remember to get that out before I turned the camera on. But this will only take a second. We'll just add a few. We won't add a ton, but we'll add a few so that we have a little bit of a pop-up layer, okay? And so we'll kind of see how this works out. Again, you guys hear me say this all the time, and you've heard it many times in the course of this series this month, that I need to have all of my pieces completely flush. I don't want any of them getting smushed because they don't line up with, that one's a little bit wide. They don't line up with another portion of the card. So we're going to go ahead and we'll cut this one a little bit smaller. That's why I get so spoiled with the perforated, the insides of our shaker foam there, because it's already cut for me and I don't have to worry about it. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and place this one moment. We're going to do one more. We're going to go ahead and place this Grateful on top of our little cluster there of zip strips. And it is going to allow us to flip it over and put that other layer of the foam tape on there. So everything is going to be completely flush. Okay. So that is what we are doing there. So let's go ahead and we'll take this off. This is all going to make more sense in a moment. And again, you guys, I say, if foam tape is not your jam, it's okay. We can still be friends. I just like a lot of dimension on my projects. I feel like, to me, it's always art, of course. But to me, when I can take the paper and lift it up off of the surface, it just feels more artistic to me. It feels a little more creative, maybe a little more magical. I know sometimes I really do refer to my projects like that. I love paper. I dream about it like nearly every night. I have the best job ever, but it's kind of pathetic too at the same time. But if you do not like the dimension, that is okay. Just put it down with Tombow or your liquid glue or whatever adhesive you guys like to use. But for me, I like the adhesive. So what we're going to do, let's see. I'm going to turn that a tiny bit. I'm going to move that over. I kind of want the edge of that to show. I know I'm talking to myself and you guys are like, what is this girl even doing? So I've stuck the bottom portion of that down. And now when we flip it over, I know exactly, remember how to get it flush is I have to have the same amount of layering for all of those pieces. And so only thing that I have to do now is I'm going to add some of this regular depth of foam tape to this back portion here, and then everything will be flush together, okay? It'll be all lifted up off of the surface the same height. So I'm going to do this again, like I showed you guys in a previous class. This is like one of my favorite money-saving tips. If you guys will get the Slimline foam shaker and acetate collection, you guys can get all of these already cut for you squares of foam tape in the center, and the outside you have the shaker frames, and it comes with the acetate as well. And I did, when they first introduced this several years ago in our catalog, I was a total nerd with my calculator, because that's what I do. And I calculated up all of the inches of foam tape that was in the package versus the inches of foam tape that was on a roll of foam tape, okay? And the comparison between the pack of the shaker foam and acetate pack versus the double rolls of foam tape was the shaker kit per inch was actually 1/3 less expensive, okay? So if you guys want to make it a little easier for yourself and not have to cut all your individual squares, and you want to save a few pennies, it's actually more than a few pennies, but you know what I mean. If you want to save a little bit of moolah and have your squares cut for you, then grab those slimline foam and acetate kits, because you're going to do both. You're going to save some money and you're going to not have to cut out all of those squares. So that's pretty much what I buy now. Rarely I will need, like for a shaker window, the long strips are helpful, but remember, you could take these long strips here and cut them with your scissors to fit perfectly if you didn't want to use the foam tape. So just lots of fun ways to save money. Like, hang with me, girls. I'll tell you all the tricks. I like to save money. The thing is, I guess maybe the way that I look at it, I suppose saving money on boring things, yet necessary things, right? Like foam tape is great to save money on that, because then it's more money that you can spend on pretty papers and fun stamp sets and beautiful iridescent dots, right? So if I can save money on things like foam tape, so I have more money to spend on pretty things like that, then that's what I'm gonna do, right? And I showed in one of the other videos, you guys, but these dots, oh my gosh, look at how they're like this beautiful white iridescent. There, my camera is picking it up, I think. They're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. Will you autofocus, you crazy iPhone? Oh my gosh. Look at how it shines. Oh, they're so pretty, you guys. They're so pretty. And just 3 totally beautiful, absolutely practical colors to use for tons of different paper collections. It's awesome. So my next step, and I'm not going to do it on camera, is I would take my doodling pin and I would run all the way around the outer edge of my card, okay, just like we did on the original here. So we're going to call this one done. All right, and we're going to move to the last and final card of the month. So project number 6, and it's funny, last one, because I'm like trying to find a way to use up all my scraps. And this was the last one, so you can see I used up all the scraps, or at least most of them anyway. So we're going to do the same thing. We are going to make sure this thing has a crease right down the center, because the machines don't like to do that. And now we are going to begin our process. So again, more of your custom created sentiment pieces. So that is a labor of love for you guys, but I want you to have some really great resources for when you get your stamp set. Like I've said for many years, it's really only a bargain. I mean, because you're going to get it either for $0 if you're a VIP and only $5 if you're not a VIP, right? And it's a $20 stamp set. So, it's only a bargain if you actually use it. Okay. And so I want to give you guys a lot of resources to help you use it. Okay. What we're going to do, since we've already got them here, we'll go ahead and we're going to put a little bit of the thin 3D foam tape on our thank you sentiment. And we're just probably jumping ahead of schedule. We usually do the main part, the bottom layer of the card with all the pattern papers. But since we have it sitting here, we're just going to go ahead and put our foam tape on here, so it's going to be ready to go. So I've got thin 3D foam tape on this one, and we're going to put regular foam tape on the other one. and they're going to kind of be layered on top of each other. Okay, so we've got thin 3D foam tape on the thank you, and then the for the friendship we share is going to go just a little bit on top. It's going to overlap a little bit. Now, if you guys are like, Suze, I don't want it to overlap, I want to be able to read it, then you can move one of them up or one of them down. You have plenty of space here to show both of them, that you do not have to have them layered if you don't want to. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to grab, again, my foam tape, and we are adding a layer of this down here on the bottom portion of this friendship sentiment. And I'm actually not going to, worry about bringing all of the layers up like we've done on the other ones. What I'm going to do is just show you another trick. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of that thin 3D foam tape on the top part of this. So that's going to, again, give us that flush ability that we are hoping for, so that they will all be the same height up off of the card base. And so even when they go in an envelope, they will not be smushed. Okay. And some of you guys, again, I have to repeat it every time. Some of you guys that don't like foam tape, you are rolling your eyes right now thinking, man, that's an awful lot of work. It sure is, but it's worth it. So you can see they're going to layer really nicely when the time comes. So we'll go ahead, and we're kind of building this one backwards, my friends. So we'll go ahead and grab our frame and our liquid glue. And just like all the others, this just pops right in here with a little bit of that border around the outer edge that I just love. Okay, whoops. We'll go ahead and get this little guy set back up here. Now, let's go ahead and begin adding in our pattern papers. Now, this one is kind of a snug fit, guys, okay? So we're going to start like we do many times when we put together cards similar to this. We're going to start with the outer edge, and we're going to work our way inward. And again, I say this is a really snug fit on this one, okay? You're not going to have that 1/8 of an inch in between each one of the panels like we do when we make this with 3 panels, okay? So I am going to be laying them down, but again, what do we always say, right? We're not committing, okay? So don't smush it down yet until we get them all lined up and they're spaced apart evenly, okay? So we're just going to kind of lay them on here. Make sure that you have equal distance from the top of the card to the bottom of the card, okay? So I have an 1/8 of an inch from the top and the bottom. We're just not going to have an 1/8 of an inch when we put all of these pieces together on the inside, and that's okay. It looks really pretty with all these panels of this color, so it'll look great. You just are going to have to make sure that you don't have them layered on top of each other, unless that's the look you're going for, and if that's the case, then by all means. So this one, we are just, I mean, like, I don't know, guys, maybe 1/4 of an inch, maybe not. There's not very much room in there. You can just see a little tiny bit of white, which is, you know, one of the reasons why the bits of black around the outer edge of those colored panels really kind of help that to stand out. That is a really nice look. I love it. And so I encourage you guys, maybe get your doodling pen out and do a little bit of running around the edges of those little tiny panels. Now, since we build it from the outside in and I haven't smushed any of this down, I'm going to be able to move my desert rose piece over just a little tiny bit. So now I have very symmetrical spacing in between all 5 panels, okay? I've still not pushed this down, but you guys can see it's spaced really evenly, okay? That looks really, really nice. So now we can smush it down because we mean it this time. And we will add adhesive on the back of our charcoal cardstock. And it is about 1 inch from the bottom, guys. Don't overthink that. Like, don't even stress about getting it lined up perfectly and all the things. It's just about 1 inch from the bottom, okay? You can put it wherever your little hearts desire, but that's where I put it. So now our glitter frame piece is going to go somewhere down here kind of overlapping. I didn't want it to end at one of the, like I didn't want it to be right at the edge of one of the colored panels. I wanted it to kind of be overlapping them. So I have sprawled it kind of, it's overlapping the desert rose color and then the charcoal plaid over here. So there's about the same amount of edge overlapping both of those. So that's how I did my centering. Now you can see how great this is going to look with it overlapping there, sitting right there on that little glitter square. I love it, you guys. I just love it. Sometimes, sometimes I feel like card aesthetics and layout aesthetics, many times you can use the very same pieces, the very same sizes, the very same products, but sometimes you can overlap something or place it in a different way and it just makes all the difference. Now, of course, this is just my opinion, but I love doing that, like overlapping things and you know, having them trail off the edge of something where it kind of draws your eye. That is just really pleasing to my creative eye anyway. And some of you guys have shared with me over the years that you're like, Suze, I just can't do that. Like I need to have everything within a boundary. I don't need things spilling out on the edges. That kind of makes my OCD crazy. And so it's just funny that we can be on such polar opposites of that spectrum. And yet here we are putting the same projects together, creating with the same products. It's just ridiculously fun. I love it. So I'm overlapping just a tiny bit. Again, not enough that we can't read what's underneath it, right? That's not the goal. The goal is just to add a little bit of that playful aesthetic there. And now we're going to finish with some of those beautiful, beautiful glitter gems. And these look to be much lighter than charcoal, guys. Charcoal is really quite a dark gray. These look to be much lighter when they're on the carrier sheet, but when you place them over here on the charcoal and next to the charcoal, they almost are a like spitting match. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea that it's going to kind of almost alter the color and the shade of the gems based on what you're putting it on or what you're putting it next. But oh my gosh, you guys, the gems are like a perfect little bit of frosting for these cards. I love them. I absolutely love them. I use these in the Evergreen workshop as well, which is the add-on kit for November. And you guys can get the pre-cut, all those pre-cut pieces and Cricut print and cut and all of that. If you guys don't have a Cricut, it'll do all the work for you. And it's a pre-cut kit that comes right to your door. But that is the kit that you guys can get if you wanted to spend $125 during the month of, you can too, if you spend $125 in November, so long as I still have them available. They are a first come, first serve, and I have no problem telling you if I still have them or not. So you're welcome to reach out to me and ask before the month is over. But that's 2 of the kits that you can get. Now, there is a third one if you guys join as a VIP or if you renew as a VIP with me. You're going to get an amazing, amazing kit that you can actually have a good look at if you go to the kits and specials video for November. So you'll find it on YouTube and you'll find it on the Facebook page. It's pinned to the top on the Facebook page. You guys can look at that and see all 3 of the free pre-cut kits that you can get when you place an order this month. And again, they're all just gifts from me, guys. It's not, you're not committing yourself to ordering every month. You're not committing yourself to like joining a club or anything like that. It's just a thank you gift from me. Just to show my appreciation and let you know that I feel blessed that you chose to do your business with me. So be sure to check those videos out. And if you guys have questions about any of the projects that you guys have seen created during the month of November, or you want to know how you can get your hands on a kit, maybe you're not fully understanding of kind of how it works, you can let me know and I will be so happy to help you. I am going to be gone on vacation the last week of the month, but I will have my phone and I'll be checking it, you know, throughout the day. I just won't won't be as readily available as I am during the third week of the month. So catch me by Thanksgiving if you want me to respond right away. So if you guys have questions and I can serve in any way, please shout at me. I'm so happy to do so. But until then, enjoy the kits, you guys, and thank you so much for choosing to do business with me. If you're listening to this before Thanksgiving, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Just know that you guys are a blessing to me, and I'm grateful for every one of you. So that is all that I have for today, and I will see you guys next time.